God called you to do this, and yes, it is difficult. But God called you to do this, and you're doing it, and you're being obedient, which is wonderful. But do not forget that the posture in which your heart is while you're doing this is what really matters. Here's why I'm saying it. God called me to do something that is challenging, and he convicted me about things that I was doing while I am walking in obedience, and he laid it in my heart that I need to share this. So here's what I got, okay? God called me to help others in a way in which really disrupts my regular schedule. It really disrupts my life, and it is a sacrifice. It is picking up my cross and following him. It is putting the flesh to death and having to live and be led by the Spirit in all things. And, I obeyed, and I'm doing the thing even if it's difficult. But because it is so difficult, I found myself speaking to people about it and venting and talking about how hard it is and how this thing is just taking everything for me to continue obeying. And while, yes, I am doing good by following what God told me to do and obeying that, God convicted me and scolded me, because we are not supposed to do something that God called us to do and then complain about it. Even if it's not your heart behind it to complain and to, speak negatively, because it wasn't my heart. Still, God checked me and he said, hey, where's your heart posture? Where is it really? Because all that you do is talk about how hard this is, and that's not how you're supposed to do this, okay? And he led me to scripture. So I'm going to read it for you guys. Isaiah 58:6 says, 6-9 says, is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, here am I. And then he led me to Matthew 6:16-18, and it says, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. I'm telling you, when God laid these verses in my heart and convicted me in that way, I felt so ashamed of how I was stewarding what he called me to. Yes, at the end of the day, what he called me to do is something that is taxing, but like referring back to Isaiah 58:6-9, he calls us to fast in this way. And when we fast in this way, then he promises that we can call on him for help and he will be there for us, okay? And then he reminds us in Matthew that when we fast in the way that he called us to, we need to remember to not complain about it, to not make it obvious to other people how hard this is, how difficult it is, how taxing it is. Because when you're telling people how difficult it is, the people will look at you and they will be like, wow, you're doing so, like, wow, you're so good for doing this. And that's the only reward you're gonna get. That's the only reward you're gonna get. You're not gonna get any further reward than that, okay? But if you do it correctly and you let God see how difficult it is on you, and you appear to others put together, it says, put oil on your head, wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting. Fasting is a sacrifice. Fasting is putting your flesh to death. But others don't have to see that. Others don't have to see that, okay? So whoever needed to hear that, yes, you are being obedient to God by doing the hard thing, but remember that the posture of your heart, it's what's most important. And if you're doing what he said but you're complaining about it, the deeper reward that he has for you, what it's meant to accomplish in your spirit, is not going to come through, okay? And the only reward that you're going to get is what people telling you that you're doing a good job. So stay strong. If God has called you to fast in this way, with, like, go ahead, read Isaiah 58, 6-9, write it down. And if God has called you to do these things and you do them and you don't complain about them, and you let God work on your heart, which is what he's intending to do, he's going to be there for you. You're going to call to him, he's going to answer, he's going to help you, and you're going to be refined, which is what this is intending to do. So don't give up. You've got this. God has got you. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you.